What is good, guys? It's Rey-Jay back with another video. And in this one, I wanted to break down what's going on with NIO, Tesla, SPY, Nvda, the QQQ, and a couple of other tickers. I'll break down what's happening to the overall market, what you should be watching for as time progresses, what's my price prediction for all these different tickers, and what's going on with all the different charts. But before I break down all this information, before I get into any more details, let me just mention a couple of things. Firstly, I am not a financial planner, so take nothing I say as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please check out the Webull link, which is down below and in the description. If you sign up for Webull, the link down below, and deposit $500 into the account, you are guaranteed 20 free stocks. If you deposit $25,000 or more, you're guaranteed 75 free stocks, and the offer ends in just a couple of days. Anyways, when it comes to the market, you can see NIO is up 4.63% for the day, but it's testing this resistance right here. We're nearing a bullish cross in the PPO, so if we could break this resistance, we're going to be expecting a bigger push to the upside. But the question is, how will NIO perform despite how the QQQ and SPY are looking? Can this thing continue to break out? What is my prediction moving forward? I'm going to give you guys, some answers very soon. So I just want to mention that for tomorrow, it's going to be Tuesday, February 27th. Please remember that we have some housing data coming out in the morning before the market comes into open. We have the house price index giving us some more data about how housing is looking. We also have Barr from the Fed giving a speech. And then starting at 10 a.m., starting at 10 a.m., we have a lot of data coming out. So this is when you want to become a lot more serious. So 30 minutes after the market opens, we have the consumer confidence report. We also have the Richmond Fed Manufacturing Index, not to mention the Richmond Fed Services data, all coming out. So the manufacturing numbers and the services data is going to be very pivotal for how the market ends up moving. And we'll see if this causes the market to bounce or not. But right now, it's going to be very important to watch for volatility at this time. We're expecting the forecast on the right side, so you guys can see what we're expecting. We'll see how close we are to forecasts, and we'll see how these different sectors are looking, as they're very important for GDP numbers. Now, on top of this, for tomorrow, I just want to remind you all, we have Norwegian Cruise Line announcing earnings. We have AutoZone, Lowe's, and just a couple of others. And those are going to be very, very important. As far as other things go, Alphabet actually dropped 4% today and announced a pause on its AI image generator. That is something that's very important. And with that happening, it's leading to some concerns amongst investors. For NIO, on the other hand, NIO ended up bouncing. So did Tesla. A lot of the EVs bounced today, and they ended up outperforming the market because we had a lot of bullish news. So for NIO basically announced that it signed a framework cooperation agreement covering battery swap stations, not to mention virtual power plants and battery reuse, which is very, very useful and very important for their future. On top of this, what helps the EV market pump is BYD. They proposed doubling their share buyback, unveiling a new supercar rivaling that of Ferrari, which is great news for them. So with all the exposure they're getting, all the excitement from this is what's helping the EVs outperform the market. And the U9 is going to have a price tag of about $233,000. It's going to be all electric. It's going to be a supercar. So with this rivaling Ferrari, that's going to be very, very bullish. So that's some news that came out. And with the potential buyback, that's showing a lot of strength in the company. On top of this, Li Auto, it had its earnings and it actually soared. They actually gave us a profit for the first time, and overall, we're seeing better growth than expected. So with Li Auto, once again, doing relatively well, beating on earnings, this actually helped NIO and XPeng rise as well. So that is some great news. This is leading to more optimism in the EV sector, and that ended up helping NIO. The price-price ratio is dropping. NIO was looking very weak, but after all this bullish news came out, NIO is trying to bounce a little bit as the price-price ratio is improving. Tuesdays tend to be green about 55% of the time, one of the best days of the week for NIO historically. So let's hope it does well. We also tend to see more seasonality, more volatility around the last hour of the trading day and also at 11 a.m. So we'll see if anything changes then. Besides that, that is it for the main factors affecting us. I'm not seeing anything else other than JP Morgan giving it the underweight rating, which is why NIO started dropping during the last few days last week. And then we had 60 million in volume. That is technically well above average, which is a very good sign for NIO. So what do I see on this? I think NIO is looking bullish on the 4-hour time frame. I think it's going to be coming down a little bit, retesting 5.5 and getting a push to at least 5.71, even 5.8. And I think that it's going to push a little bit higher. Then it's going to come back down, just trade sideways. So look for a little pop and some sideways price action, as I think the EVs are gaining some strength. But SPY, on the other hand, It's looking a little bit weak. I think it's going to be testing 505 very soon. We'll see if it bounces off this or not. If we lose this, 503 is coming, but it's showing some weakness. So watch support at 505. I think we have more room to drop. So watch 505. If we lose that, 503.5 is next. We are looking a bit more bearish. For Tesla, we pushed up very nicely. We're starting to drop a little bit in the after hours. Look for a little retracement and see if Tesla could try to bounce off 198, if not 196. If we bounce off these levels, we could be looking for a nice bounce and a push to 202 all over again, eventually 205 plus. So watch and see if we could get that move. On top of this, I just want to mention that Super Micro showing some life. It's been kind of consolidating, range trading for now, so it could be pushing up to 900. And then on top of this, we also have Aapl. Aapl is kind of like showing some weakness. It's barely holding 181. If we lose this, 180 is our next target. We had an inverse head and shoulders, but it's not playing out as well as it could have. So now it's showing some weakness. If we lose 180, expect a bigger drop. Watch 181 and 180, and then 178. It's looking a bit more bearish. For the QQQ, looking a little bit weaker. I could see this retracing to about 435 to 434, basically. If we lose that 434 range, watch 432 coming next for the gap fill. So if we lose that, a bigger drop will be coming as we have a head and shoulders like structure, but then we'll see how it goes after that as we're about to get this bearish crossover. So the QQQ to me looks a little bit more bearish. Nvda looking a little bit more bearish as well. We could be looking for a test of 772. If that fails, a little bit more downside could be coming. I wouldn't count on massive downside for Nvidia or like be a big short on it. That's not what I typically do for a company like this. But if you guys want, you could. Good money could still be made for it. I just know I'm going to sit this one out, at least for the timing. But once again, good money could be made if you play it right. Nvidia, in my opinion, might retrace to about we might lose 790. If we do lose that, a bigger drop is going to be coming, and we could be looking for 772, and that might drag the QQQ down, so just be very careful. I also want to mention that Microsoft had a head and shoulders that's playing out very nicely. More downside looks imminent as we have this gap to fill at 405, so watch for that very carefully. So that being said, the market looks like it's going to drop a bit, but NIO might try to outperform it temporarily, especially Tesla and NIO and other EVs are getting good news. So look for a push to about 5.8, a rejection and sideways price action. We might just see a lot of consolidation tomorrow, but I do think it's going to push a little higher before we end up continuing to consolidate. That's my prediction for NIO. Thank you all so much for listening. Have an absolutely spectacular rest of the day. And I just wanted to say something very important. The news about JP Morgan came out last week. That caused NIO to really, really underperform. We're getting some good news thanks to Li Auto and the other EVs out there, which is awesome and all. But just know that whatever happens to NIO is not the end of the world. Okay? If there is another piece of bad news that comes out and NIO starts falling again, it's going to be okay, because I still think that this company has so much potential, and we're just getting more and more buying opportunities the more we see this thing hovering around the fives. So I'm a big bull for the long term for NIO. We'll see how things go. I want to thank all of you so much for listening. NIO in the market to the moon, because the long term is still incredibly bright. So don't just dictate your life based off like the short-term price action. Don't forget that there's still so much more for the long term for these companies. So don't worry, guys. It's going to be okay. All right. I want to give you guys just one more kind of like warning about that. With that being said, thank you for listening. Have a great day and peace out.